One of the most difficult tasks when delivering Immortal Memory is to say something new, something unique. After all, Burns has been honored in events like this dinner since 1801, and now in over 200 countries. The man was only 37 years old when he died, so it gives a rather limited field of study. It's not that there's not much to say about Ravi and his many poems and songs, but it's difficult to say the same thing over and over again. If you've been to even a few Burns suppers, you'll have heard about how he wrote poems that feel emotional, visceral, rather than cerebral. You might have heard how he was the comic rather than the feat noble. No doubt you will also have heard about how he loved women, many women, and often. That is true. In fact, considering how popular the HBO series The Tudors has been, I'm surprised he never made one entitled Ravi. Henry VIII was an amateur lover compared to Ravi. And I must say, considering that Henry, when he beheaded Anne Boleyn, looked like a dump truck, well, Ravi was a Ferrari, you'd think Ravi would be ahead. However, Ravi never executed the women he beheaded, so there's probably not enough violence to add to the sex for HBO. But let's get away from Hollywood and look at Robert Burns in a different way. Hopefully, one you have not already. While you may think of Burns as the plowman poet, he was mainly a lyricist. The sodbuster song reader, you might say. In fact, 368 of his 559 writings were songs. Although a singer and a fiddler, he was primarily a wordsmith and an arranger, rather than a composer of music. Often he put lyrics to existing Scottish traditional and folk melodies, including favorites such as A Man's a Man for All That, Scots Wha Hae, A Fond Kiss, My Love is Like a Red, Red Rose, and Auld Lang Syne. Actually, that is not so uncommon. Consider these examples. The Irish-American favorite, Danny Boy, was written by an English lawyer and adapted to London Derriere. Elvis Presley's Love Me Tender is to the music of the Civil War song, Orally. That patriotic air, America, sung to the tune of God Save the Queen. And finally, the tune of Kingston Trio's folk hit, MTA, was originally a campaign ditty written to the tune of the railroad lament, The Wreck of Old 97, which itself was written to the melody of a song I've never heard, titled The Ship That Never Returned. All used existing melodies. Yet their words are the ones we remember and love best. Ravi's words are what have touched the heartstrings of people and are remembered through the years. But Ravi's been dead and buried for over 200 years. So how would he fare on today's music market? I've heard him criticized for writing in Scots tongue, a dialect that was not standard accepted English. Although he was an educated man who could have written in proper English or even French, he chose to write in the language even the illiterate crofter would understand. It was his way of thumbing his nose at those who looked down on the Scots and making his works accessible to all his countrymen, even those poor and less educated. Would writing in a dialect doom his music today? I did in-depth research on Wikipedia regarding this. My answer is definitely not. My offer is proof this urban dialect song that went platinum in 2012 is currently #1 on its 15-week stretch in Billboard's R&B hip-hop chart and #2 on their chart for all songs. Entitled Thrift Shop, it is by Macklemore and Ryan Lewis. Since this is a family-friendly event, I will leave out some of the most offensive words. Feel free to hum along if you know the tune. I'm going to pop some tags. Only got $20 in my pocket. I'm hunting, looking for a come-up. This is awesome. Now walk into the club like, what's up? I got a big, I'm so pumped up some from the thrift shop. Ice in the fridge. It's so frosty that people like, that's a cold honking. Rolling in, LED, heading in the mezzanine. Dressed in all pink, semi-gator shoes, those are green. Draped in leopard mink, girls standing next to me. Probably should have washed this. It smells like R. Kelly's sheets. This song goes on a bit longer, but you get the idea, and I'm tired of this bleeper. Like Ravi's works, it is in a dialect meant to appeal to the common man, not to the elite of society. But let's compare it to Ravi's song for the common man. A man's a man for all that. Is there for honest poverty that hangs his head and all that? The coward slave, we pass him by. We dare be poor for all that. For all that and all that. Our toils obscure and all that. The rank is but a guinea stamp. The man's the gold for all that. What though unhamely fair we dine, we're hood and gray and all that? Give fools their silks and knaves their wine. A man's a man for all that. For all that and all that, their tinsel show and all that. The honest man, though heirs the poor, is still a king of men for all that. Again, there's more, but you have a taste for each. Let's compare each song's words to see which song is likely to endure the ages, dialect or not. I'm going to pop some tags, only got $20 in my pocket, versus is there for honest poverty that hangs his head and all that. Dressed in all pink, except my gator shoes, those are green. Draped in leopard mink, girl standing next to me. Versus, ye fools their silk, and knaves their wine, a man's a man for all that. Probably should have washed this. Smells like R. Kelly's sheets. Versus the honest man, though heirs so poor, as king of men for all that. I'll let you be the judge, which will stand the test of time and still be sung in the future. The one over 200 years old, or the one that's less than a year old. Now let's compare a couple of love songs to see which has the right stuff for romance and endurance. We'll start with one that was listed as number 18 on the top 100 love songs of all time by the New York Daily News. A 1980 song by the late Freddie Mercury of Queen that went gold and was number 1 on Billboard for 4 weeks, entitled Crazy Little Thing Called Love. This thing called love, I just can't handle it. This thing called love, I must get round it. I ain't ready. Crazy little thing called love. This thing called love, it cries like a baby in a cradle all night. It swings, woo, woo. It jives, woo, woo. It shakes all over like a jellyfish. I kind of like it. Crazy little thing called love. There goes my baby. She knows how to rock and roll. She drives me crazy. She gives me hot and cold fever, then leaves me in a cold, cold sweat. I will not finish the whole song, but that should suffice for our analysis. So let's contrast Crazy Little Thing Called Love with Ravi's lyrics to My Love is Like a Red, Red Rose, which won no awards and topped no charts. Oh, my love is like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. My love's like the melody that's sweetly laid in tune. As fair art thou, my fine lass, so deep and loud am I, that I will love thee still, my dear, till all the seas gain dry. Till all the seas gain dry, my dear, and the rocks melt with sun, I will love thee still, my dear, while the sands of life shall run. And fare thee well, my only love, and fare thee well a while, and I will come again, my love, though it were 10,000 miles. When I think of my own true love, it's to a slow and romantic melody, not one that has been labeled rockabilly, but let's compare the lyrics themselves. It swings, woo-woo. It jives, woo-woo. Versus my love's like a red, red rose. It shakes all over like a jellyfish. Versus my love's like a melody, sweetly sung in tune. She gives me hot and cold fever, then leaves me with a cool, cool sweat. Versus I will come again, my love, though it were 10,000 miles. Which is more romantic? It's a close call, but I'm going to give it to Red. And my money is on a red, red rose to be remembered by future generations and not a crazy little thing called love. I admit that I am old school, but Rabbi himself is neither old nor new school. He is all school. While time only permitted 2 examples, I could have talked about this all night. Hopefully I've made my point. It isn't using or not using a dialect that determines whether a song will endure. It isn't having such a universally adored topic as love that makes a song memorable. It is the quality of the writing, the way it appeals to listeners now and for years to come that determines its worth. In that, Rabbi excels. So let us honor Robert Burns tonight for his lyrics. He is, and ever will be, the epitome of the Scottish poet and a great lyricist. Let us be upstanding for the toast. To Robert Burns, the poet and songwriter. And now, I pray your indulgence as I present my one and only true love, a red, red rose. For she is my bonny lass, till all the seas can dry.